Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. I didn't start with that picture out of casuality. It's not because I think that Raffaella Pimenta is a fantastic woman, no. I start with that picture because that's the picture that yesterday evening totally changed the course of the late night live. I started with, I have not a lot of newness to tell you this evening, probably nothing will happen, but then Mercato is crazy, Mercato never sleeps, and that's where Di Marzio announces that Raffaella Pimenta, agent of Paul Pogba, De Ligt and more players, was in La Continassa for a meeting with Juve, where they talk about a lot of names that I will reveal you and we will all go through them. It's not a casualty, that I found a picture on the web of her in front of two shirts next to each other. Mazraoui on one side, Paul Pogba, because these are the names that we will talk about in addition of the plan for Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. We'll speak about Cuadrado, because I told you today is a decisive day. Today we will take decisions like Cuadrado extending or saying goodbye. We will speak about Giuntoli, because according to some sources it is the Giuntoli day, but also an important one. Towards the end of the video we will speak about a big change. After 13 years of Juve, there can be potentially a massive change in terms of communication, how Juventus will communicate with the outside world. So remain on the channel, maximum of like if you didn't yet. Thank you again, because after 2 days ago that we didn't reach the 500 likes, we did yesterday again, so we are starting again a streak. Hopefully we can even beat the past one with more than 10 or 11 days of positive 500 likes. So maximum of likes, subscribe to the channel if you didn't yet, and now we start, because I told you yesterday everything changed with old names actually that are linked again to Juventus. Who are we talking about? Well, there is still some interest to Timothy Castagne for the right side of the field. Important name, because he has already been blocked with Juve. They found everything, the agreement on the salary, on the length of contract. Max Allegri is happy with the player because it's a player that he already wanted. It's a player that already knows Serie A. He can play in a 4-man defense. He can play in a 3-man defense. He's a player that, when he was playing Atalanta, already scored a few goals. He didn't last season with Leicester, but he knows Serie A, he knows the language. He's already someone that can instantly recover his role on that right side of the field. If we go with Castagne and with Weah, both Timothy players on the right side, well, we can do something beautiful. But then, at the moment, there is no agreement with Leicester, and that's why yesterday Raffaella Pimenta was in the offices to speak about different players. One of the players that she offered to speak about with Juventus is Mazraoui. Who is Mazraoui? Well, I don't need to present him. You all know him. 25 years old player, double citizenship, Moroccan and the Netherlands. So he's also that European passport, which is always great. Otherwise, we go in towards difficulties. You remember that Luis Suarez case and so on and so on. So Mazraoui, that a few months ago we already spoke about on the channel, that Juventus was interested in, that he was interested in Juve. He wanted more playing time because in Bundesliga, where he was taken from Bayern Munich on a free deal, he played only 19 games, which is absolutely not a lot. He didn't find a lot of space. Well, he was linked to an exit possibility and maybe even to Juve. After that, he was reassured by the German club, the German champion club, that he would have more opportunities to play this season, the season 23-24. Apparently, these promises looks like they are a bit far from reality, and that's why Mazraoui is maybe looking for another club. And we have Raffaella Pimenta speaking with Juve. We don't have really the details about the Mazraoui to Juve, but one thing that we know already, and that's a good one, is they took him for free. So whatever money or price tag they are asking for, it will be a kind of profit for Bayern Munich. So they will not go towards a 40-50 million euro request, but probably towards a 20 million, something like that. Otherwise, they can even play the card on loan with an option to buy. So for me, like we say in French, Mazraoui, c'est un grand oui. Mazraoui, that's a big yes. Why? And we know it. We know the player. Even if he didn't have a lot of chances to buy him, I really believe that Mazraoui and Weah on the right side can be a really great upgrade towards Cuadrado and De Sciglio. Anyway, it was not the only name that was offered by Raffaella Pimenta, because she's also the agent of Nathan Nandes. And for the one that are following Juventus since so long, for the loyals of the channel, you know that Nandes is a player that is already been linked with Juventus a few seasons ago, where we were looking for that sixth midfielder, but a type of midfielder a la Gattuso, nervous, short player that is playing with a lot of aggressivity, with a lot of grinta DNA, but also a kind of Weston McKennie, a player that is able, starting to the midfield, to go and switching to the right side of the field, you know. Then, yesterday, I think there was a bit of confusion with Di Marzio, because he was speaking, looks like, or Nandes or Mazraoui. And I really believe that these are two total different players. One that can potentially be your sixth midfielder. Instead of Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, that we will speak about in a second. Instead of Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, you go with a sixth midfielder. That will be Locatelli, Rovella, Fagioli, Pogba, and Rabiot. In addition, you have a sixth midfielder that can be there on the bench if there is need for a rotation in Coppa Italia. He's ready, but also he can possibly in some games switching a bit to the right side of the field. Why not? But he can't be, according to me, an alternative to Timothy Castagne. He can't be an alternative to Mazraoui, because they are different players. Then if you tell me, Beppe, there was a bit of confusion with Di Marzio, actually there is the possibility to go towards Timothy Castagne or Mazraoui, then I tell you that it makes sense, or one or the other. Why? Because of course we know Max Allegri, let's not lie about it, he loves these kind of players that already showed something in Serie A, while Mazraoui, that didn't really impressed in Bundesliga, will be a big bet. And if you're already betting on Timothy Weah, going with another bet on the right side might be a bit too much. But anyway, this is what I wanted to say about Nandes. That for me would be a big no. Let's speak clearly about it. Last year was in Serie B. He was not even playing every single game. But I could potentially understand keeping money, investing on a Mazraoui. Then I can understand it. But otherwise, Nandes himself, no, a Mazraoui for me, c'est un grand oui. But they also spoke about Paul Pogba yesterday, that received some offers from Saudi Arabia, some big offers, where at the moment he said, no, I don't want. And Raffaella Pimenta repeated this information to Juventus, saying Paul Pogba wants to show that he is the player that you signed last year. He wants to repay the weight of you management, the weight of the technical staff, but also especially the weight of the supporters that always supported him. He wants to show that he's still Pogba. To himself, of course, to gain again that confidence, but also especially to Juventus. So Paul Pogba at the moment, no. It's not closing the door totally to Saudi Arabia, but yesterday, reading a bit of comments, it's clear that he said at the moment no to the mega offer from Saudi Arabia, and they can talk again about it in January in the winter market, which would be, I believe, really wise. No taking too much risk. We can test him now from the tournée on, where we'll have a lot more information about the physical state of Paul Pogba, that is training really hard and will be there as the first one of the season on Sunday in La Continasa. Maybe some tests to really start training on Monday. So giving him the space to show on the field that he can again be the Pogba that we were expecting until January, and then we see what he can do. Maybe he can accept then the offer, that multi-million offer. But there is another plan. That's why I told you we'll speak again about Milinkovic-Savic. And Tuttosport is going Milinkovic-Savic, fuori uno. One has to go. Zakaria towards Premier League. And I already told you yesterday during the live, on Monday, Manna Giovanni will go to UK again to speak and probably to finalize the deal. Zakaria, West Ham, they're thinking around 80 million euro for the player that is not in the plans for Juve and can bring you a lot of profit. And then he will continue on the exit with Arthur and with Weston McKennie. If these players are able to leave Juventus as soon as possible, well, there could be space and room for that additional midfielder. And then that big money will not go towards other roles, but in the midfield for Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, that could be the sixth. And we are not speaking in order of importance, because probably will be the number one in the midfield next to Paul Pogba if Paul stays, like he said yesterday. So Milinkovic-Savic, for the people that loves Milinkovic, well, continue to hope, because it's not over. If things are going really wrong, the intention of Sergej is even to play one more year with Lazio, to at the end leave for free and join next year. Maybe as a replacement of Adrien Rabiot. Yesterday was the day, of course, of Timothy Weah that has chosen the number 22. A lot of people will tell me, Beppe, why was he not presented yesterday? Well, it will be probably tomorrow, while we are the 1st of July. Why? For financial books reasons of the one of Lille, etc., etc. So they made an agreement to present him tomorrow. Fresh new season 23-24, immediately starting with the presentation of a new player. On Monday, not only Manna will go to UK, but also Juventus management will talk again with Empoli, because they are speaking about some players there. Sule, Ranocchia and Miretti. Some of them can potentially go on loan. Some of them can be sold. We're speaking about Ranocchia permanently, because that's not where Juventus wants to bet in. On the other one, they still want to go for, but at the moment more as loan discussion, while Parisi could be a reinforcement on the left. On the other side, I would not rush too much on Fabiano Parisi, because we have some decisions to take there. Because on the left side, quality or not quality, you have a lot of players at the moment. One that can leave, and that will probably leave, like we see it in Tuttosport with a full page, is Juan Cuadrado. And we are speaking about today, ragazzi. Because today is the 30th, there were no official communication of an extension of his contract. So Cuadrado will probably see his goodbye officialized today. We'll come back on Cuadrado when it will be official. I will tell you the truth. Has not been my favorite player when he arrived at Juve. It was even irritating me, but I enjoyed him. He was, for me, representing that fino alla fine spirit with that goal at Torino, but also the last minute goals against Inter, Fiorentina, and so on and so on. I will be sad in a human perspective to see him go. I think he still had something to give the last 20 minutes of every game, but I believe that at a certain moment it has been also good. A good decision anyway. Another one that can leave Juventus is Bonucci, that Juventus repeated to him, if you have offers, think about it, because you are not central anymore in Project Juve. The same communication they did to Alexandro. Let's see what Bonucci will decide. He repeated in front of cameras, I stay at Juve, but maybe understanding and being conscious about the fact that he will be a 5th or 6th choice in the defense can make sure that he's a bit pushed in the exit way. Let's see. Anyway, Weah alla Di Maria is the title of Gazzetta dello Sport, maybe a bit exaggerate. Okay, the number, yes. Then if you're comparing Weah, Timothy, not George, with Angel Di Maria, maybe they are exaggerating. Today can be the day of Giuntoli, because we know it, the 30th of June, it's not a player, so you have some margin to sign him, whatever, during the season. But in Italy, if you want to sign, for example, Giuntoli after the season already started, that means tomorrow, then you need to ask for an exemption, a federal exemption, and Juventus is not really intentioned to do that. So if Giuntoli can be able to free himself today, great. From tomorrow he can be a Juve sporting director or sport or football chief. Otherwise, maybe we can even wait. Anyway, at the moment, no problems, because he will not do the mercato anyway. From the moment he arrived, it will anyway be too late, and on that one, De Laurentiis won, the wait, but let's see. And then the last news I wanted to share with you is the one of the possible communication change in Juventus. Cambio ai vertici della comunicazione. The top level of communication of Juventus, there is a change with Albanese Claudio that is leaving after 13 years of working at Juve. He arrived in 2010 and he was one of the right arms of Andrea Agnelli. He took care of all the communication, strategies, guidelines, making some rules, and representing always a corporate Juve to the outside world, not going to answer all the criticism that we received online, keeping a low profile on that one on social media, taking some decision to do a lot of things privately and not in front of the eyes of social media, putting some priorities. Ragazzi, I have to say that Claudio Albanese was there in the first meetings I had with Juve after my contest that I won, and he was there with me to speak about the guidelines, to speak about contract. I met him in La Continassa, so I wish him the best of luck. Then, what can change with Juventus? What is the approach of Juventus? You already saw that on TikTok, Juventus started to change a strategy. Will there be a total different way of linking themselves and interacting with the outside world when Juventus will be attacked? Will there be a big change in the way of interacting, a bit less corporate, but a bit more closer to the fans? Well, I believe that step by step we will discover that. So it can be a new era of communication from Juventus with the outside world. And I think, guys, that's a really important one. It will not bring you 5 goals on the field, but can bring you a lot off the field. So attenzione. Ragazzi, that was it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I repeat, if we didn't reach 500 likes when you are watching that video, put a maximum of like. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel because we are that close to reach the first step towards 30,000 Juventini, 26,100. I'm waiting for you. Grazie, forza, Juve.